Hello. And just to be clear, because you can understand this thing in at least in two ways. Yesterday, when I said that Berlin Wall was about freedom and survival, I obviously meant those people who were trying to get away from the east onto the west side of the wall, because for example, because of their political opinions. Because East German's secret police wasn't too nice when it comes to people who had certain political or social opinions. So just to make sure that nobody gets the wrong picture here. Just got home from work. It's 10:45 p.m. and I'm kind of tired. I don't have a regular job at the moment. I've been semi-employed for, I don't know, 4 years, I think. But I have this kind of a part-time thing. So they'll call me if I'm needed. Or they'll let me know if I'm needed. So then I'll go in. And when I was riding back home, I started thinking about music. And particularly one thing that I've been talking about on my Finnish channel, and I think I kind of mentioned it on a video that I uploaded to this channel a few days ago. Why small bands, and now I'm talking about metal bands, or the metals of bands from a kind of heavier genres of music, why so many kind of small bands or local bands sound mechanic when they're playing live? Why does it sound so mechanical? I mean, it sounds good, but it still sounds mechanical. Why? And then it kind of, and I've been thinking about this thing before, but then it kind of hit me. Let's take a young guy, and he's a guitar player. He's practicing in his bedroom, playing along with records, playing along with MIDI files, tabs, grinding through exercises, and with dedication and time, he will develop into a good player. I mean, what comes to playing technique, with good finger speed, with good picking technique and all that. So he's a good player. He's a good guitar player as an individual. Then he meets some same-minded guys and they form a band. And then they play a show, let's say in some local bar. What you're seeing on stage is not a band. It's a group of players going through their pre-rehearsed parts in the same space. And that's why it sounds mechanical. And obviously, I'm not talking about all bands, but I've seen this with many bands. And next question, why? Well, that's the reason. They know how to play their instruments. They know how to be a technically efficient player. But they don't know how to play in a band. And which brings us to jamming. And I'm not talking about playing cover songs, because I think that's something every band does. You know, play cover songs on rehearsals, especially in the beginning. It's a good way to get started, playing other people's songs, before you have enough songs to play an original set, or full set of original songs. And jamming. And what I mean by it is that somebody starts playing something, and others will listen for a while and then they'll join in. That's what I mean by jamming. And I think with the age of this kind of modern technical or technically demanding, or however you want to put it, harder music, jamming has been lost. So musicians are not able to listen, or they don't know how to listen. They know how to play, but they don't know how to listen. Because when you're jamming, anything can happen. And some people are saying that it's sloppy playing, that everything you play should be pre-rehearsed and, thought through. But music is about reacting. Or let's put it this way, playing in a band is about reacting to what other people are playing. What groove they're playing with, what kind of dynamic they're using. And that's kind of old school band playing. And that's something like, bands like, you can say whatever you want about Metallica, for example. But those guys have their tuning up room, notorious tuning up room, where they can kind of warm up before show, jam, work on new ideas, record some new riffs or something like that. And I played, years ago I was a bass player on this short-lived stoner band, and we were playing through songs, and then we had this kind of a break. I don't remember why, but we had this small break during the rehearsals, and I just started playing the first few bars of White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. So ding 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 ding, and other guys joined in after a while, and that thing just went off. I mean, I think we played something like 15 minutes. I have a recording of it somewhere. I think I still do have it, because those were the days when I was recording every single rehearsals we had. And that was about reacting. I just started playing something, another guy started adding to that. And that was organic. Because that's what band playing should be, in my opinion, organic. Not completely thought through process where you're just going through your own parts. It's about listening. And that's why bands were so damn good in the past. Because they had this culture of just playing because of playing. And I've always loved to jam with people, especially with people who are better players than me. Because then you have to, for example, as a bass player, or when I'm playing bass with better guys than me, guys who are technically better than me, I have to come up with ways to back them up. It can be something very simple, but still effective. And it can't be something that's on the upper limits of my playing abilities. But that's the choice you have to make. Do we need more or do we need less? What comes to playing, how many notes do I need to play? This might sound good with just this one note. Or you might have to play more. But that's the reason why bands are sounding mechanical. Because they are just playing through their pre-rehearsed parts. But they don't play just for the sake of playing when rehearsing. On the rehearsals start and they're playing through the songs the way those songs should be played. And maybe some cover songs in between. But still, this kind of a loose form band playing. And obviously there are genres like, let's say, stoner, which is an obvious example, where you can, as a player, you can just go off. And a lot of songs that, and a lot of songs are being written through this kind of a just play something. Somebody starts something and other peoples will follow, and that was kind of a basic procedure. If you look at, if you listen to bands like, let's say, Grateful Dead or Pink Floyd live, I mean, and that's kind of lost. Although I do understand that if you're playing in a power metal band, or if you're playing, let's say, technical death metal, that's probably not a good place for this kind of a looser form of playing, because you need to be tight. Same thing with thrash metal. You have to be tight player, but a band has to be tight. On those speeds, if you're playing thrash with higher speeds, you have to be tight as a unit, as a band, because otherwise it'll sound kind of sloppy. But if that's the end result you want something that sounds sloppy and slightly clumsy, well, then you have found your niche as a band. But there are so many guys who just want to be technically good as a player, as an individual player, and then there are bands who want to write these I don't remember the right word. Ambitious was the word. Ambitious songs and song structures and these kind of things. I know I lost what I was saying. Yeah, but that's the kind of a modern thing to do. That people want to be good players, technically good players. Obviously the age of guitar heroes was back in 70s and 80s. Those classic guitar heroes. I'm an old man, so I have my preferences there. I'm an older guy, so I have my preferences there. But people want to be good players, adequate players, technically capable players. And we're kind of losing the band aspect. Band dynamic. What it's like, well, if somebody plays something in a certain way, younger guys don't know how to react, because they're just they're playing their part, as I've said previously. They're just playing their part, so they don't have to listen. Only thing they have to listen is the drummer, because drummer gives the beat. But they don't have to listen to other players. They're just doing their part. I would love to play in a band that has this kind of a loose approach, because I think that's, in my opinion, that's one of the best ways to become or to learn how to be a better player, better musician. Because I'm not all that interested about technicalities of playing. You can be, well, let's say, bad player, but if you're playing in the right band, you'll be the perfect player for that band. Let's say, for example, easy example, let's take Lombardo, if I said the name correctly. What if Lombardo would have been the original drummer of Metallica, and Lars Ulrich would have been the original drummer of Slayer? Wouldn't fit. I don't think so. And there's the kind of beauty of band playing. You can get three guys who are kind of a clumsy, not so technically adequate players, but you put those guys in the same band, that thing's on fire. Well, Venom, anyone? Kronos and the boys weren't exactly the best players in the world, but you put them in the same band. I mean, it still sounds good. Oh, and the thing with Venom, if you listen to the first Venom album, I don't remember the name of it, it sounds pretty bad. But that's not because they were bad players. That's because their record company said that the guys are recording demos, and all of a sudden they decided to put those demos out as an album. So there are some tuning issues, timing issues. It sounds really raw, but that's not because the band was so bad. It was because they were running out of time, and they thought that they were recording demos. So, right people in a right band. You don't have to be a good player. You just have to find the right band for you. And I think I'm going to bed now. I have some things to do tomorrow, and I have to remember to put new strings for that acoustic guitar I was using yesterday. That's my kind of a sofa guitar that I use for writing songs, and it sounds out of tune. It's a cheap Williams, originally right-handed, that's restrung. Anyway, the strings are upside down, so that's why the solo groove, or whatever that is in English, it's on the wrong side of the guitar, because that guitar was originally built for a right-handed player, but I just turned it upside down and strings are upside down and so forth. So it's not, and it was cheap as heck, so it's not the definitely it's not the best sounding guitar in the world, but I use it for writing because it's something I can just carry around when I'm walking around, or if something happens to it. Well, it cost basically almost nothing when I bought it almost 20 years ago. So it sounds bad even when it doesn't sound all that good even if it's on its top shape. And with old strings it sounds even worse, so I have to put new strings, and then I have a bass that I have to adjust. It's now on, or the tuning is now C standard. I have to put a new strings and adjust it to D standard, and I have to do the same thing for one of my Les Pauls. I also have to do, because I need a D string or D tuned bass and humbucker guitar, or electric guitar with humbuckers. But anyways, see ya.